Hello and welcome to Network. My name is Phumelele Zondi with your technology and social media news. Remember to always wear that face mask if you are in crowds, sanitize or wash your hands. Remember that we need to save our country. We should never see the kind of anarchy that we saw in the last couple of days. Today I'm coming to you from Pietermaritzburg, and the provincial legislature of KwaZulu-Natal is behind me. This city saw some of the worst looting in the last couple of days as well. This week, our Twitter poll is asking you if you think that tech education can possibly save a lot of people and maybe uplift them to get out of poverty so they don't involve themselves in the kind of looting that we saw in the last couple of days. It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. Here's what's coming up tonight. We have details on how some communities use social media to galvanize and protect their communities. We also have details on some of the new low-end mobile phone technology that is launching. And in our conversation, we chat about whether tech education can possibly be what uplifts people out of poverty. All over Pietermaritzburg, you find communities like this one. I'm in Woodlands at the moment, where the community has galvanized themselves into some sort of a policing forum. They are guarding that no one who shouldn't be in the community enters, and they're also guarding the local mall in the area. WhatsApp groups and other social media platforms are a huge part of this as well. Amid the looting and torching of shopping malls and other infrastructure, some members of this community in Pietermaritzburg have armed themselves to look after this mall and check who gets in and out of their area.
There's been a tremendous camaraderie. There's been a tremendous sense of unity. Whilst they are concerned, they are determined not to give in to anxiety or the fear-mongering.
There are other communities that have done the same here. They say WhatsApp groups have played a critical role in keeping community members informed during this desperate time.
Social media groups help, but they also help to bring chaos and a lot of false information. But what we have two groups. One group is the general community, and then we have another WhatsApp group that are for those that are the first responders from the community.
Look, social media is critical. However, fortunately in our community, there's a wonderful link. We've got the Pastors Fraternal, we've got the Neighborhood Watch, we've got ward committee members. Everybody has come together in synergy and harmony to really make this a manageable experience for the community.
Social media platforms like WhatsApp have been known to assist in organizing community action all over the world. But some have also been criticized for their use of social media during South Africa's biggest crisis since the end of apartheid. There are various media reports that say there's a criminal complaint that's been registered with the Hawks against Duduzile Zuma Sambudla, the daughter of former President Jacob Zuma.
We can safely claim that Duduzile Zuma actually is infringed on some of the rules of Twitter, especially the one that tells us that you cannot glorify violence.
Forensic for Justice says Duduzile Zuma Sambudla incited violence in the way she used her Twitter account. One of the posts on the account says "Flames of Freedom" and a video of burning infrastructure attached.
A tweet that supports criminal violence can be seen as a criminal offense, because if you look at the new acts that have been enacted, like your cybercrime Act 2020, those are the acts that say what is a criminal offense in terms of inciting violence through social media, and there is punishment for that.
Some say retweeting is just as problematic as the originator of the post.
Retweeting together with a comment is a definite way of endorsing and sort of subscribing to the views that are being expressed by the person that you are tweeting.
Also in the same week, Twitter temporarily suspended the account of Economic Freedom Fighters leader Julius Malema. We know that in the past, the platform has deleted some accounts, including that of former American President Donald Trump. Right now, many are using accounts to organize their cleanup campaigns. The cell phone shop behind me is one of the stores that were looted and then torched in the Pietermaritzburg city center in the last couple of days. So you won't be finding your favorite cell phone brand if you are looking for it from them. But you also will probably not be finding some of your favorite LG brands, as we heard that a warehouse that houses some LG products was also torched in the last couple of days. But there are smartphones that you can still find, the low-end kind, that can possibly do what some of the more expensive stuff does. Here's producer Sandile Hlangani.
Affordable smartphones are very popular among middle to lower income earners. These pocket-friendly devices support WhatsApp and money transfer apps, like this one. The Ital Vision One does offer an attractive design with great hardware on the inside. The phone is great for first-time Android users or people who just want a phone that can fulfill their basic needs.
You had expensive phones. You'd have to spend over 15,000 Rand to get good technology. And now what, your Itals and your Technos, what have done is that they have been able to penetrate the market with affordable phones that start literally at 1,699, but with good technology. And I know that in terms of the perception in the market, because we've always had the big guns with expensive phones, people perceive cheap phones as not good technology, or that they don't do what people want.
The entry-level smartphone runs on Android 10 out of the box with a custom-skinned layout on top of it. The company could have managed to get some extra performance by installing Android Go instead. However, the Android installed here brings the full potential of Google operating system, and the company has even added some useful features like gesture navigation to the user interface. The major attraction for me in this package has to be the massive battery on offer and selfies. Up front, there is a 6.8-inch HD Plus IPS display with a water drop notch on the top. On the back is a dual camera setup with an LED flash unit that closely resembles the design of the iPhone 11 series. The phone only manages to open basic applications like WhatsApp, Facebook Lite, and Twitter. Resource-hungry apps like Facebook Messenger or Adobe Lightroom can make the phone lag or show signs of hiccups. The Vision One Pro features an HD plus 6.5-inch display along with an 8-megapixel triple lens main camera and 5-megapixel selfie camera. The device also has 2 GB of RAM, 32 GB of onboard storage, and a quad-core Unisco processor. As for the selfies, the images shot come out to be decent, and they are pretty usable for multiple social media platforms. At a starting price of 7,999, it brings much powerful processor. As far as gaming is concerned, this Vision One was unable to run graphics. Like Xiaomi, it gained a firm foothold in the Indian market. Xiaomi now has its sights set further on the African continent. In a move to cement itself in the country, the brand announced 4 affordable, innovative devices.
We launched 3 new devices in the Redmi 10 series range and one of our new fitness bands, the Mi Smart Band 6. The 3 phones that we launched were the Redmi Note 10 5G, the Redmi Note 10 Pro, and the Redmi Note 10S.
As 5G becomes the name of the game, with this model, Xiaomi says it will deliver one of the most affordable 5G smartphone while refusing to cut corners.
When 5G is more accessible to the entire market and not just in pods in South Africa, it's important for us to have that technology in the hands of our consumers. So if you're in the market for a phone and you're looking at price X and price Y for the 5G device is only slightly more than the 4G device, get the 5G device.
The Xiaomi Note 10S sports a solid camera system with 48 megapixels main camera, 2 megapixels macro camera, empowering you to snap great photos with ease.
The World Health Organization is working with a consortium that is including South Africa's Afrigen Biologics. This is to possibly launch the country's first mRNA vaccine technology hub. The aim here is to possibly scale up manufacturing of COVID vaccines.
Africa's first mRNA COVID-19 vaccine could soon be produced inside this facility. The World Health Organization picked Afrigen Biologics for the pilot. Now, the South African startup says it expects a decision from partners in mid-July. Petro Blanche is the managing director.
This is the first step for us in Africa to establish cutting-edge novel technology vaccine production suitable for fast-track rapid response and to ensure that we have vaccine security on this continent.
The $9 million tech transfer hub will make it possible for African companies to manufacture mRNA vaccines in 9 to 12 months. The advanced mRNA technology is used in Pfizer and Moderna shots. They currently require very cold storage. But Blanche says Afrigen could access technology to produce a thermostable mRNA vaccine that could be kept at temperatures of between 2 to 8 degrees Celsius. Afrigen's facility will be capable of producing a maximum of 10,000 vaccine vials a day. It's also partnered with local manufacturer BioVac, which can produce 30 to 50 million doses a year to distribute across the continent.
It is the SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. After the break, we chat about tech education and whether tech skills are what can uplift a lot of people out of poverty. It is the SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. Welcome back. Now, many have suggested that the reason for the huge amount of looting that we saw in the last couple of days is because so many people in South Africa live in poverty and the huge gap that we have as a country between the rich and the poor. Many have also said that the digital divide could widen the gap between the rich and the poor. Now, the digital divide is to have a certain segment of society that is familiar with new digital technologies that can help improve lives, while another segment of society does not have access to these digital tools that can improve lives. And there have been conversations about closing the digital divide because many suggest that the digital divide could widen inequalities in South Africa. To talk to me about these issues is Nelisa Ngulana, who is a co-founder of Coding Mamas. Hello and thank you very much for being a part of our network, Nelisa, once again. Maybe if we can start by telling us about the reasons for South Africa's massive digital divide.
South Africa's digital gap lies in the fact that digital literacy skills, access to technology still remain out of reach for many South Africans. But this gap obviously does not exist in isolation to the socio and economic issues that we still know plague this country.
Some say it could widen inequalities. What's your view on that?
The gap does contribute to widening inequalities because it means that people are not able to pick up new skills. They're not able to develop themselves. As a result, they're not able to participate meaningfully in the digital economy.
And Elisa, do you think the digital divide can be closed, or is it over?
When we talk about closing the gap, we also obviously need to look at the fact that closing the digital gap is more than just giving people access to technology. It is the digital gap is an exclusion that is linked to other forms of socio-economic equality in South Africa. So we need to first look at those other inequalities that already exist that can help us start decreasing that gap.
And who needs to address these challenges?
There are multiple players who are who need to be involved in terms of addressing the challenges around decreasing the digital gap. And because there are multiple issues at play, it requires multiple players.
From what you see, do you think there's willingness from government to solve these issues?
There is willingness from our government to address this issue, because we know our government has been going on about the fourth industrial revolution, which means that they understand the value that the digital economy plays in terms of development, in terms of growing our economy, and in terms of empowering our people. So the willingness by our government has been shown in different ways. For example, in 2019, the president appointed a commission on the fourth industrial revolution. The commission was meant to assist the government in looking at and taking advantage of opportunities that would be presented by a digital industrial revolution, so to speak. So one of the things, obviously, that the government is doing is to look at relevant policies and strategies to action in terms of making sure that we're overcoming some of the challenges that we have in terms of access.
Do you think addressing issues around the digital divide can help us reduce the poverty that many say saw so many people looting and the kind of chaos that you saw in the last couple of days?
So addressing the digital gap, for example, is one way of making sure that people are closer to being able to develop themselves. And we know that if people can develop themselves, it can have the relevant skills to participate in the digital economy. It means that they'll be able to access income, not only for themselves, also for their families, right?
All right. Nelisa Ngulana, co-founder of Coding Mamas, thank you very much for being a part of our network today. All right, with that, let's take a short break. SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, News Network at sabc.co.za on email. It's the Pietermaritzburg City Hall behind me, and I am still in Pietermaritzburg, the city that saw the kind of looting and anarchy that we don't want to see ever again in South Africa. Here's what else took place in the rest of the world in the technology space.
Universal Hydrogen, that aims to clean fuel, is poised to announce preliminary hydrogen deals with airlines including Icelandair as it looks at possible listing as early as next year. Founded by former Airbus technology chief Paul, Universal Hydrogen aims to speed up the introduction of hydrogen for smaller regional airplanes. In order to kickstart demand, Nespresso offered coffee makers while encouraging others to build compatible machines. The kits include a fuel cell, an electric powertrain to replace controversial turboprops. From the viewpoint of a passenger, the propellers remain while the engine architecture and fuel system behind them change. In the US, since the age of 5, Sam's ambition was to be an IndyCar champion. And he achieved that by winning the Indy 500 at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway in 1999, a glorious racing career beckoned.
Yeah, I mean, it was my passion my entire life, and then this happens, and it kind of turns things upside down. But about a year after my accident, we decided to start the team, and then about 7 years ago, Aero came along with this idea of building a car for somebody that can't use their arms and legs, and it was an amazing experience. It took about 8 months to drive the first car at Indianapolis at 107 miles an hour, so we kind of checked that box. And they want to keep going.
But months later, on January 6, 2000, tragedy struck. He crashed during a practice lap at the Walt Disney World Speedway in Orlando, severely injuring his spinal cord, but lucky to be alive. The doctors told him he would likely be on a ventilator for the rest of his life, but his willpower to recover pulled him through. On July 8th, the latest version of the Sam car, a modified V8 Chevrolet, took to the legendary resources at Goodwood in southern England himself. The tech that he and Arrow are pioneering could have a wider impact on helping people with disabilities.
This week, our Twitter poll is asking you whether you think giving communities tech education will help reduce the inequalities that could be contributing to the kind of anarchy that we saw in the last couple of days. We'll say yes. There's 33% that says no, it won't help. And a further 18% that says they are not sure. All right, and that's it. That's all we have for you. Find us on SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's News Network at sabc.co.za on email. Remember to wear that face mask, sanitize, and wash your hands. And remember that we are trying to build one South Africa. We no longer should see the kind of chaos, looting, and anarchy that we saw in the last couple of days. We need to build a prosperous nation. It's SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. From me, Phumela Lezondi, and the rest of the team in Pietermaritzburg. Have a good one.